so he has to be like watching the streams, staying updated.
Person in custody, it really is incumbent upon you to let everybody know in as transparent a way as you can be at a time when you can't be transparent. Be aware.
Right. And, putting that out to the community, obviously the community is well aware that something's going on. So to tell them that there's a possibility that someone who they're looking for could possibly be in the area, walking, seemingly unfamiliar, and to be on the lookout for that and report it is helpful to the investigation as well.
And I'm just looking at some of the comments. I'm not going to read the comments that came with this Facebook post that Salem police made, but I just wanted to get sort of a sense of how people are feeling in that town. And they're all sort of like, wait, what? I thought it was only at that building. And then they're all talking about, why are you saying individuals? And then people are saying, well, what about the guy that you were looking for yesterday, who you supposedly just wanted to speak with? So until the overall point here is that until there is some finality to this, there are just a lot of people who are on edge.
That's right. We're not going to know. And one of the places where people have been on edge from the beginning is Providence, Rhode Island. Louisa Moeller joins us there live. And Louisa, it sounds like any news conference is going to be a ways off.
Yeah, Lisa, David, we're hoping for that finality, as you said.
Steve said, I bet they're checking for IEDs. Who knows if the person could have rigged it? You have to be super careful. Maybe send in a robot or something into the facility first. I
don't know. About a resolution tonight. Now, we don't know when that's going to happen. We don't know if that could be 11 p.m. or later, but hoping clearly for resolution and probably taking in information at nearly the same speed that we are.
Spirit, thank you for the super chat. Have we seen any dogs going in? Seems like it would be easy to get a scent from the car.
Frankly, most of New.
I haven't seen canines. I don't know. I haven't seen canines going in. I thought they had canines on scene. I'd have to look up and see what's being said about that.
I mean, so many communities on edge. And I will say there was a sense of frustration from speaking to people around the Brown community today about the pace of this investigation before everything broke this afternoon. I can imagine that those folks are probably pinned, glued to their phones and to their televisions, waiting to see if something.
Supposedly no reports of canines being deployed.
An anxiety that they have felt all along. We've been told by a city spokesperson there's going to be a roughly 20-minute heads up before there is a news conference. So we will have ample time to get here. And it's worth noting that there are also victims here. There are the family members of the individuals who lost their lives on Saturday, of that MIT professor, and of the people who are still recovering from their gunshot wounds. And there will be, if there is a full resolution to this, there will be an effort to inform those individuals and their families, likely before anyone comes to the podium here. So we're tracking all of that, trying to analyze when it could happen. When it does, we will be sure to bring it to you nice and quick. Lisa, David, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Louisa. And I want to bring Cheryl back into this conversation. Typically in a situation like this, is that how it works?
Well, somebody said, imagine they could shut off his phone. They have technology. Was it geofencing or something? If he had a phone that was on inside of that storage unit, they could probably track it. They probably could.
That may or may not happen, but I'm certain that they will be in touch with the family.
It can check at certain proximities and what phone numbers are active in those proximities. I think that's how it works.
They're worried about, the fact that someone that killed a lot of people is wandering around. And so there's, you have that angst that people are looking for answers. I think they're looking for answers in Providence. They're looking for answers in Brookline. And now you've got two communities that are, outside of Salem putting out, including Salem rather, putting out alerts to their communities saying, be aware that there may be someone that could be walking or someone that looks like they're out of place or that they don't know that they're not from the area. So it's a real interesting situation. You have so many scenes, 3 different states. There's a lot going on.
And you also know, as someone who did media, right? media relations.
And I wonder why not release the person's name. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it would help. Thank you. Salem, New Hampshire police made the same post as what's the name of that place? Methuen Police. If you see anybody strange, call 911. Thanks, Steve. Yeah. I wonder if the scanners are still quiet. We've got a crowd over here by the door, though. Let's listen to the scanner. Tiny little bit. Yeah. These people are so stupid. 0 Hour asked, why are they withholding the name? I was just saying that. And somebody under posted they can't pronounce it. Come on, man. Come on. Silly. AZ Intel posted this, and it's a quote from an article. It says, investigators have not ruled out the possibility the person is either hiding in the unit or has killed himself there. Or has killed himself there. We got a kind of a gathering here at the door, though. Wonder what's going on, if anything. Thurr said, I live in Florida. What's a strange man, right? It's every corner.
At Brown, where 2 people were killed and 9 people were injured, is also connected to what happened in Brookline Monday night when an MIT professor, Nuno Loureiro, was shot and then died on Tuesday morning. A connection there. And now this has gone all the way up to New Hampshire, where tonight in Salem, New Hampshire, there is a huge police presence around extra space storage facility on Hampshire Street, which is right off of Route 93.
So right now you have a number of communities unsettled, concerned, and hoping there will be a resolution in the search for this suspect. Thanks for being with us. I'm Lisa Hughes.
And I'm David Wade. This has been rapidly developing for hours. Every few minutes, it seems like there's new information. We have team coverage tonight. We want to start with WBZ's Aaron Parsegian. He's live for us in Salem, New Hampshire, outside of the storage unit where so much has been happening. What can you tell us, Aaron?
FBI. And then after that, a giant vehicle with U.S. government plates that you can see with the flashing lights down there. Looks like one of those processing vehicles also pulled up to the scene. We've seen agents pull out buckets, put on gloves, and that's been the latest in the 10 minutes, really ramped up, which was kind of a still scene for quite a while outside this storage facility. Of course, we're just right over the border of Massachusetts here in Salem, New Hampshire, and this is where a lot of that attention has been throughout tonight, and you can still see more officers gathering towards the entrance of that storage facility, which we were actually much closer to around 7 o'clock tonight until police actually backed us off that area for our safety, they said, as they've worked to try to clear the scene. Of course, there are a ton of onlookers that have come down here just based on the police presence, but most recently we see way more FBI agents make their way to this area, and that's what's been happening so far.
And we can actually see in some of these shots how much more activity there is behind you and relatively close to you. Are there still a lot of onlookers there as well? It seems like there's so much police activity. Is this drawing more people to that scene?
Yeah, definitely. This appears to be a pretty busy part of Salem in general. There's a bunch of stores, a CVS, and I think if we swing the camera just a little bit, we can kind of get a look at some of the crowds that have been gathering here. A lot of the people say they live, Methuen, Haverhill, around this area, Salem. They came here because they have seen this kind of police presence. They've heard the helicopters that are in the air, and they're kind of on. And of course, as part of the crowd control, police has a duty
look at all the people out there.
of the situation, trying to get people to stay out of the middle of the road, keep this lane open for some of the agents we've seen responding throughout tonight.
I guess they're by the storage facility, I guess. Oh shit, somebody said found dead. Is that true? Hold on, I don't know. Let me take it. Hold on. Found dead, they're saying. No way. Hold on, let me get the clips for you guys. Thank you, Grandma. And Julie, a bunch of people tagged me. Let's listen to this. Oh shit. What a coward. What did they say that then?
Anybody. Fucking awesome. See. So I'm told that van is the FBI crime processing. Yeah, it's.
I don't see anything on there. Brooke? She said it? Oh, yeah, no, she's saying he's dead. Yeah, I believe it then, yeah. Oh, shit. Ooh. Wow. Crazy. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay, let's see what else comes in. She normally has the breaking stuff fast.
They then
She's
made the
on
announcement
point.
that they would not hold that news conference until this was resolved. Either a suspect was in custody or the suspect was no longer a threat. We were told they would give us a 20-minute warning. We have just learned there will be a news conference in Providence
That's why.
at 9:15.
There you go.
Very interesting. So they're going to talk when it's resolved, and they're going to talk in 10 minutes.
Right.
Right. So apparently they have some, information that they're willing to share. I mean, obviously, during the course of the day, they could have had a news conference at any time to say this is what's happening or this is what's not happening. And they chose to put it off, saying that they'd come out when they had something to say. And obviously they have something to say.
They're not holding a news conference in 10 minutes to say we haven't found him.
No, and what's interesting
I
is
would-
that for days people had so many questions. Understandably, today the emphasis was on finding this suspect and putting together the clues that they were able to collect in Brookline. But this is this was a day of actually getting very little information from official sources. This will be the first official statement we get today, with the exception of the information from Salem and Bethune that people should be vigilant about their surroundings.
Right. And, as you said, they've had news conferences every day. They have been sometimes quite contentious with, reporters asking questions and not feeling like they're getting the answers that, to the questions that they have. And I think there's been a lot of frustration there. And I think probably on the other side as well from investigators, and they were frustrated too, that they either are not able to share the information that they have or they just don't have it. And in this case, it's taken since Saturday to today to have reached this conclusion. And it's pretty significant. All the developments today, pretty significant.
I was just saying a moment ago that we have covered a lot of things like this that sort of end with the apprehension of somebody. Or I was just thinking of Lewiston, Maine, where there was a terrible massacre up there. And in the end, after a couple of days, the individual was found dead, self-inflicted gunshot wound. And then about a half hour later, they held a news conference. And I think the first words out of their mouth was, the manhunt is over. We're hoping that we will hear the same coming up here at 9:15 as we look live right now in Providence at all of the microphones. Of course, this is now a national story, really a worldwide story. The man, the professor in Brookline, originally from Portugal. So a lot of people have been following this case very, very closely. Following
the case, and also in some ways suffering really intense emotions this week, starting on Saturday with the shock of the shooting at Brown University, the devastating news that came early that 2 students were killed and 9 others were wounded. And then you take that community that's grieving without answers, without resolution, and then you move 48 hours later to Brookline, where a relatively quiet, tight-knit residential community, where they lose a beloved neighbor who is shot in his doorway, the father of 3 children, a professor at MIT. And there is no weapon. There is no suspect named. There is no clear photo of a suspect. And in Cambridge, where he taught, you have people who are grieving and who are concerned for their own safety. And so there are so many people tonight. I would imagine in Salem, the feeling is the same. This hope that in a matter of 5 minutes, we're going to find out that the threat is gone.
And there's a very good possibility that they will come out and they'll tell us what the sort of conclusion is to this. But they may not necessarily, Cheryl, give us a lot more than that, right? I mean, not at this hour. It's at least possible that they'll give us just a little bit of information, but not a real, like, in-depth sort of description of how we got to this point.
They might not. I mean, they might be able to provide whatever information that they can, that they been able to piece together over the last day or so, and be able to share that and explain how they got to this point where they were able to connect these 2 scenes, and they were able to figure out who the suspect was and actually find him. But more than that, we might have to wait for. I mean, there's going to be a lot of after action reporting done here. I mean, we've heard during a lot of the news conferences them talking about the lack of cameras that they may have had in this one particular building. And I think the governor said that he was asking that there would be a total review of all of the higher education places and cameras.
And one other thing I wanted to mention is sometimes when they have the news that this has sort of come to a conclusion, they oftentimes like to get in touch with the families of everyone who was involved in the shooting, the family members of the 2 young people who were killed, the family members of the 9 people who were wounded. You don't want those people to find out about this through the news. So there are quite a few phone calls maybe that have to be made. So there is a good chance that the conclusion to this came hours ago, or at least a while ago, and that now we're going to get the information.
Is it also possible, and I think it would just be such a relief for so many people tonight to know that this is totally over, but is it also possible that one piece that may not be entirely resolved is the role that other people might have played in this, either with respect to the weapon, the rental car, any kind of assistance that may have been given to this individual? I'm guessing we may not know about all of that tonight.
We might not know about all of that tonight, and the motive. I mean, you know,
Right.
that's one of the things that I think is kind of important for everybody to know. I mean, how are these cases connected? I mean, what did this professor have to do with these students at Brown University?
Right.
And what was the connection with the suspect? And maybe we'll learn a little more about that, or maybe that's something that they're still developing information on.
Give you a quick recap of how we got to where we are, because in about 4 minutes, we are expected to have a news conference down in Providence, Rhode Island, where we will hear about what has happened here today. And there has been a lot that has happened. If you are unfamiliar with how we got to this point, first it was announced that investigators had identified the person of interest. That's the person that you've been seeing over the past couple of days in various video clips from Providence, that they had a name and that the manhunt had really begun. Then we heard through I-Team sources, CBS News sources, that they were investigating a connection to the murder of the MIT professor earlier this week. And then Cheryl got the information that a car was found abandoned in New Hampshire. So throughout this day, the focus went from Rhode Island to Massachusetts, all the way to New Hampshire. And now, hopefully, in about 3 minutes, we will learn more information about what the conclusion is to this major manhunt.
With the potentially important nugget coming yesterday when police released that photograph of a person who they said was in close proximity to their person of interest. That was really the biggest piece of information, the clearest image we got yesterday. We saw that yesterday, and today we had so many of these developments. So the question, of course, being what role, if any, did that person play in this investigation ultimately?
We all thought it was weird, though. We thought it was strange that with the amount of people who were either in the background of other images of him walking around Providence, they weren't just putting out, you know, here's a picture of a person who may have seen him. They said that it was close proximity, which oftentimes, and I hate to say this, but police speak is a little bit different than how we speak day to day. Close proximity almost feels like someone who may have come in contact with him. We don't know if that person.
Hello.
I saw you in the lobby yesterday. I never talked to an actual movie star.
Now you have.
You know, I'm something of a performer too. You don't believe me?
I can't support your mother.
You're not gonna have to. I'm gonna step up in a way you can't even imagine. She's gonna be living on Fifth Avenue.
And what do you plan to do if this whole dream of yours doesn't work out?
That doesn't even enter my consciousness.
The path to a college degree is more affordable than you think. With Sophia Learning, you can take real college-level courses that are designed to transfer, fully online for just $99 a month. Start your free trial, no credit card required. Sophia Learning, built for you.
We will carry this news conference live on WBZ News on Channel 4. This is a live picture right now from Providence. Again, waiting and hoping that this will start on time. Louisa Moeller has been there throughout the week, watching and waiting for some type of big break in the case. There were many, many breaks today, and now we're waiting to see what the conclusion is to this, and hopefully
that random.
some
Thank you for the membership.
level of.
Appreciate it. I wonder how long a person's been dead in there. Was it today when these cops were closing in on him? Or has it been dead for a couple of days? At least since the professor was killed? Oh, man. Found in the units. What a coward. So we'll see. They should release the name too, I'm assuming, during this presser. I don't see why they would hold it back anymore, but wow.
The murder in Brookline has been found dead inside of that storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, now confirmed by CBS News.
That news that the suspect is dead, no question, giving people great relief in a number of these communities you just described tonight. That is how this ends.
I know. I just got a text a little bit ago, too, from a source that said he's dead.
Yeah, we've been hearing sort of back channels from people who like to, you know, tell local news people what's happening, that he was, in fact, found in there. It was not confirmed until just now. And huge sense of relief. This is now Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
6 days
the
later.
sixth day where
Right.
people have been in limbo.
And but there's still a lot of questions. I mean, in this case, I mean, did he have help? Was there anyone else that was involved in this? Where has he been all of this time? Why? And why, really? What is the motive here?
Right.
And how are these cases connected? I mean, we know that, obviously they are, but how?
Yeah, this news tonight that he is dead. I think we were questioning a moment ago when the word went out. Be aware of some.
Thank you for everybody that was tagging me on X too. It was a lot of information. It was crazy tonight. Really, really fast paced. Okay, they switched to the helicopter press conference feed. Should be starting soon, and we should get a suspect name. I don't know how families feel too, when their loved ones are killed and a suspect kills himself. Is it I don't know? Would you rather be them caught? I guess probably to ask questions, try to get answers, which probably never will. But I wonder how long this person has been planning the attack and why the professor
told Fox News that the suspected shooter was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We have a
Generally speaking, we all look at this as being a conclusion, but how much more work will go into this investigation? What would you anticipate will be happening in the coming days and in the coming weeks?
Well, I think it's really important that the investigators know what the motive is. I mean, who is this person and why was this school targeted? Why did he go into a classroom with kids studying for final exams and start shooting people? And what led him to, the MIT professor? What was the connection there? And I think piecing that all together, I mean, who is he and what has he been doing? Are there any writings out there that may identify something about his concern about the university or higher education or whatever else it could be that led to this? Or was this some kind of a grudge that he had that involved both obviously separate but similar situations? So all of that has to, unfold. In addition to that, did he have any help? Who was he in touch with during all of this time? I mean, who knew about these plans, if anyone?
Right.
And who may have helped him on the other end, if anyone?
And it's a good reminder that, throughout the week, people had grown weary of the news conferences and what seemed to be a lack of information, what seemed to be a lack of video evidence in a day where there seemed to be cameras everywhere. It was sort of a loop of the same, 5 or 6 shots, and people had grown really frustrated, thinking that they were botching the investigation. This is sort of a good example of there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and that they have done their job. They did track him down. They did know his name and they did find him. And sure, it did take some time. And, that's super unfortunate for all the people who were sort of, left in fear for days. But these are not easy things to solve very quickly. And it will be interesting to find out why there weren't better pictures, right? When you go back for something like this, you're not just trying to find out more about the suspect. You also want to learn about what can be done in the future to keep people safer. What can we do in the future to make sure that people can't get away with something like this? And that the university will be looking.
Well, yeah, who's the second person of interest? Did they recognize him? Did they know him? All right.
Or who heard it in a hallway and ran from the building. And Brown has promised, even as it began to provide some of these initial resources, that there would be resources going forward indefinitely to try to address that. But this is something that will affect this campus profoundly going forward. And to your point, that is the piece of this that you can't begin your own healing until you're able to acknowledge the loss. And no one has been able to do that as fully because of their fear and because of the uncertainty about the end of this.
College memories are lifelong memories, and this is just not the type of memory that you wish on anyone.
Oh my goodness, no, awful, just absolutely awful. I mean, just think about that they're finishing their semester, they're going to a study session, waiting for final exams to go home for the holidays, and something like this happens, and it's just horrific. It's just absolutely horrific for everyone involved. And there'll be definitely an after action report. I mean, what was done well, what wasn't done well, what can you do to change things, what needs to be addressed. The cameras, that's just one aspect of it. I mean, I know there was some concern about the notification process and how robust that may have been or could have been, and whether or not there's any security that should be in place in some of these places. I know that they supposedly have a swipe that you are able to do to get into the buildings, but during, I guess, exams, they're open campus. And so you can walk into some of these buildings. And I don't know, is that something that during finals that should be tightened up a little bit?
I don't know how that works at different universities. I teach on the side at Emerson, and you don't get into the building without, tapping your card.
Right.
But if somebody's holding the door for you, maybe. But again, 9:15 news conference. It's now 9:23. We are waiting to see what's happening down in Providence. We've been able to give you a live picture of the podium there and all of the microphones. We haven't seen anything yet. Usually we get about a 2-minute warning. So as soon as that happens, we will go to that live, of course.
Well, in this case, they did say they would let us know 20 minutes early. I think we found out at 9:05. So there's still a possibility that in the next 2 minutes, they will take that podium. I'm curious, Cheryl, if you had to guess based on what you've seen in the past, I know after the marathon bombing investigation, the National Preparedness Leadership Institute at Harvard released that full report on what went well and what didn't, partly because it gave other police agencies around the country an opportunity to see what had been successful before the investigation even began with respect to the way that these agencies train together. How transparent do you anticipate this will be? Do you think that afterward we will have some sense of what that report shows?
I'd like to think so. I mean, Brown is a private university. So as to whether or not they have their own, internal review that they will do, the state is saying that they're going to review whatever the policies are in cameras at these universities. And I think that that's probably something that will be undertaken at some point. But in general, these shootings, unfortunately, have happened in schools, in regular schools. And, we've seen Uvalde and so many others where there's an after action report that talk about all the things that, should have been done and could have been done. And in the hopes that maybe this never happens again, and then it will happen again. And there'll be another report. And in this case, hopefully there'll be a report that indicates some things that they could tighten up, some things that you can prevent. And at least
Someone said they're watching CNN, haven't seen anything about them being dead. You're going to be waiting. Oh, I see. That's cool.
Time to go. Come on.
They're relying on us.
Are we gonna be okay?
We're relying on you. Please donate now.
Heidelberg's a great place for transfer students because there really is no transition. You're immediately part of our family.
When I first got here, I was a little bit shy, a little bit nervous, but within the first couple of weeks, I had an established group of friends who I still hang out with today.
Our entire mission is helping students figure out what their purpose is. So if you're not really sure what it is you want to do or you're looking for that certain thing, let us help. Come visit. Heidelberg will help you figure out your purpose.
Yeah, the information was coming out so crazy. It was nuts tonight.
Whether it's social media, whether it's writings, whether it's, some manifesto somewhere, whether there are grudges, in many, many cases, we've seen people very clearly write things on social media, their opinions, their thoughts, their grudges, their concerns, and maybe that'll be something that they'll uncover in this investigation as well.
Now we are able to show you from our helicopter this storage facility. Earlier, we were not showing this because we didn't want to divulge any police activity. Now that we know that this gunman is dead, the suspect in the Brown University shooting and potentially the shooting of the MIT police officer, we can give you a clearer sense what this facility looks like, and it is pretty significant.
It is pretty significant. I mean, this is a very big area. You can see there are a couple of houses next door. This community was also kind of held hostage during this time while police searched for this suspect and, made sure that the area was safe and found him dead. But this community is also, you saw all the people coming out where Aaron's shot was. They were just coming out to see what was going on and what was happening in the area, despite the fact that there were the reports that were sent out from the police asking them to just be aware of any potential person that could be in the area.
That still seems to me a bit of a strange
something going on
development tonight.
You think it was a ruse?
No, I don't even think it's a ruse. I don't know what it is, but it feels strange to me because I think all of us had people telling us that he was dead inside the storage facility.
Right.
We didn't have it confirmed from a law enforcement person that we trusted. We didn't have several people telling us, so we weren't reporting it, but we could tell sort of how they were reacting. We didn't know for sure, but we sort of had the sense.
Right.
And yet the police department in that town and the police department neighboring just to the south in the middle of it, after we're getting information that the person is probably dead inside, they're now telling their residents and sort of alarming them in some way, watch out for any individuals walking around.
So
That
makes it sound like that there's someone else.
That makes it sound like that.
There's
Yeah,
somebody else.
the investigation might involve other people.
And that's, certainly a possibility. And maybe they, at that point, when they put that out, thought that was a possibility.
Okay.
I mean, how many times have we seen, the fact that they think there are two people involved in a shooting and then, later it'll be determined there was only one person.
It's almost always one.
It's almost one. But many times there is, in the flurry of activity, that there's some thought that there could be a second person, and maybe out of an abundance of caution, they put that out.
Is it possible for us to take the live picture of the podium down in Providence? Because sometimes you can sort of get a sense by the activity in the room as to whether we're getting close to the news conference. And this is that live picture. You can see, of course, reporters from all over New England, from all over the U.S. at this point, gathered together and waiting for a news conference that, was originally scheduled for 4 o'clock. And then they said, we're going to have something when something has been resolved. And as we now know, it has been resolved with the suspect in the Brown University shooting found dead at a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire. And it'll be interesting to see in this news conference how much they tell us about what led up to this. What were the breaks that they got? Did they get tips? Did they get phone calls? Was there something with the picture that they sent out yesterday? How much will they tell us today? Sometimes they just make the announcement and they say there'll be a lot more to talk about tomorrow. So we'll see.
Yeah. And Cheryl, curious, Special Agent in Charge, Ted Dox, who's been in Providence all week, is out of the Boston office. safe to assume that the FBI, as it's been working this, has the benefit of all of that information from Providence and then begins working with investigators in Boston, sort of all the way through.
New Orleans lady said, I don't buy it. They had a second person of interest yesterday. Now dead man? Nah. It's a setup. Co-opt. Psyop. Cleaning up the mess. Cleaning up loose ends. Megan Kelly said, do we have the name of the shooter? No. Not yet. It's a secret. Usually, sometimes, like right before the presser, we'll get the name. A couple of minutes before, 5-10 minutes. Usually, by now, it would have leaked out. I'm surprised they've kept it tight, close to the heart. Steve Cooper says, sources have confirmed the suspect is dead. News conference minutes away. What a day.
Hold on, man. I got a full package or copy on Camden. You need to throw a Rochester District Court date in the call, please.
Yeah, 519.
Guess I could take off the scanner now. Thanks, if you guys hit the like button, I appreciate that, or subscribe. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. High level sources. Oh, what? Oh, shit. Okay, Kelly, thank you for tagging me. Ted Daniel says, law enforcement tells me the Brown University shooting suspect is not a U.S. citizen, but a legal permanent resident. What the F is that? What the hell? That sounds like the same shit to me. Let me see. That means like they got it for what, for schooling or something? How are you a legal permanent resident? What? I know, me too, Chiefs. I hope that Latino reporter is there. He was going ham. Legal permanent resident, often abbreviated as LPR, and commonly known as green card holder. Oh, refers to like a new term, like a safe word or something. Legal permanent resident refers to a non-citizen who has been granted the right to live and work permanently. Oh, okay. That's what the kids are calling it now? Legal permanent resident. Okay. I know they've changed a lot of things since we've been growing up and stuff. The status is officially defined by the U.S. immigration law as someone lawfully admitted for permanent residence. Okay. Typically a permanent resident card, green card. Okay. Wow. You come over here and do that shit? LPRs enjoy many rights similar to citizens, such as employment without restrictions, owning property, access to certain benefits. Oh, here we go. So it's a good thing. I was about to go on a rant. Okay.
Tonight, our Providence neighbors can finally breathe a little easier. In a minute, Colonel Perez will share the latest details on the investigation, but I want to thank the people of Providence for stepping up and coming together during an extraordinarily difficult time. I know this has been hard on all of us. Over the past 5 days, minutes have felt like...
Sorry, it's not right without the...
I know this has been hard on all of us.
He needs to be there.
Over the past 5 days, minutes have felt like hours. But the people of Providence have done what we're best at. We've leaned on one another, come together and supported one another, and showed the nation what a tight-knit community looks like. It was because of the information provided to us by neighbors and the tireless work of our Providence Police Department, the Rhode Island State Police, the FBI, the ATF, and many other federal partners. The incredible prosecutorial advice and guidance that we received from the Attorney General's office, we all worked well together to be able to identify this suspect. I know we will have a lot of questions still, and we will continue to work to get those answers. But it is a great honor for me to turn this over to our Chief of Police, Colonel Oscar Perez, and I will say on behalf of the people of Providence, we owe him and every member of the Providence Police Department the deepest debt of gratitude. Colonel?
Well, first and foremost, I want to offer my deepest condolences to the families, the victims. It was for them that this work was put together to make sure that they get the justice that they deserve and to ensure that this person was held accountable. Center, the community response team, the intelligence division, the narcotics division, the task force. This past Saturday, as you all know, December 13, Providence Police Department and Brown University Police Department responded to this horrific tragedy at Brown University 184 Hope. Our officers were there within minutes. That same day, Providence Police detectives immediately went to work. From video footage to see who this individual was and who was responsible. A person of interest was identified from that video footage. The person of interest was observed down Hope Street, turning onto Waterman Street, and that was one of the first videos that we released. At the same time, every federal agency you can think of was reaching out to the Providence Police Department and responded to the capital city. Images were shared with media within hours. Persons of interest.
At Vistaprint, we print signs so people can see your brand up close. But we also print signs so that people can see your business here. See it here and see it
here. Of this person of interest were shared with the media continuously over the past 6 days. This critical evidence was collected with the use of public assistance. As the mayor stated, I'm proud to be the chief of police of this city. I'm proud to be a product of this city for the reasons that the mayor stated. The community stepped up. It was all about groundwork, public assistance, interviews of individuals, and good old-fashioned policing. That is the type of police work that every police officer in this nation reminds themselves of, and that many do not understand. And that is critically important and often succeeds where technology alone cannot. We looked at financial records, we looked at video footages, and in the specific incident, it was actually a video that provided us with a description of a vehicle. That was corroborated to a tip that was received to the tip center. That room was packed with detectives, agents receiving calls on a daily basis. We started early and left late. Then Flock and the LPR was able to provide us with this description of this vehicle. That vehicle was picked up by Flock, which led us to a car rental place in Massachusetts. Through that, the agents and their work as well were able to get us footage of this individual, as well as a copy of the agreement, which provided his real name. The video of that subject matched the description of that person of interest that this police department was desperate to put handcuffs on. That individual was identified as Claudio Neves-Valente, date of birth, and he was a 48-year-old man. He was a Brown student. He was a Portuguese national, and his last name known as was in Miami, Florida. And I will tell you that he took his own life tonight. We have members of the Providence Police Department up in Salem, New Hampshire, and we also have the BCI unit. Obviously, the FBI and their evidence recovery unit is up there, so the process is being conducted as we speak. And it goes without saying that I would like to personally thank the efforts again of the Providence Police Department, the Rhode Island State Police, the Rhode Island Attorney General, the FBI, the ATF, HSI, the U.S. Marshals, IRS, DEA, Secret Service, and NCIS. There is no way that we could have done this by ourselves. In this nation, when horrific incidents like this happen, law enforcement steps up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. General Ronner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. You know, I would describe the emotions on the investigative team, including our prosecutors and the agents, detectives from both state police, Providence, as mixed. You know, there is a sense of completeness in terms of the investigation, an investigation that's, if not the hardest, among the handful of hardest investigations that I've ever been involved with. And the sense that we owed those 2 dead Brown students and the 9 injured Brown students and the students who were in that auditorium that weren't injured, and the Brown community and the Providence community results. The teams worked really hard. I think I mentioned that to you almost every night that we met with you. I wish they were all up here with us. That we wouldn't fit here, but it's just was remarkable to see the cooperation between the FBI agents, the ATF agents, the HSI agents, the Providence police detectives, the state police detectives, our prosecutors. And I will say that everybody brought a certain expertise to the table, but it is nevertheless a sad moment when you think about those young people who were hurt, injured, or worse. 2 of them are now deceased. You know, to me, this was always going to be an investigation where something was going to break it open. We were going to pull threads. We were going to gather evidence that would lead us in a particular direction. And I will say that if we were with you less than, well, I guess now more than 24 hours ago, we had that picture of that second individual. And I would say within an hour, no more than 2, I think it was under an hour, that person came forward to 2 Providence police officers over on the east side and said he had information, that he was that person and he had information that could help this case. And I remember last night watching his interview, and he blew this case right open. He blew it open. And that's how these cases sometimes go. You can feel like you're not making a lot of progress. You can feel like you're chasing leads and they don't work out. But the team keeps going because, you know, those of us with experience know that you're going to pull a lot of threads and it's not always the first one that's going to get you where you need to go. But when you do crack it, you crack it. And that person led us to the car, which led us to the name, which led us to the photographs of that individual renting the car, which matched the clothing of our shooter here in Providence, that matched the satchel that we see here in Providence. He was found dead with a satchel,
same satchel,
with 2 firearms, and evidence in the car that that matches exactly.
Now, just to remind you, I posted a video yesterday about speculation online and on YouTube about the suspect possibly being Mustafa. His name is Mustafa something. I'm not sure if this is the individual they're referring to, but it'd be funny to think if it is, because they were just telling the authorities on the last press conference saying how online people speculating who's the suspect. And coincidentally, if this is the same guy that they were speculating about, what's that say to about these police officers? Just a thought.
What we see at the scene here in Providence. And so
The latest developments in an intense 5-day manhunt, and is a result of an incredible amount of work dedicated by the law enforcement team standing here before you tonight. Every single agency brought their unique skills and expertise to this investigation. And we're motivated by the victims and survivors of this horrific incident. Even though the suspect was found dead tonight, our work is not done. There are many questions that need to be answered. There's a lot of evidence that needs to be processed, and most importantly, the victims and their families deserve special care and consideration. The FBI and our partners across Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire will continue to search for answers for the victims, survivors, and their families to see what motivated this individual to carry out such a senseless act of violence. From the onset of this critical incident, it's been all hands on deck. The FBI deployed approximately 500 special agents, analysts, task force officers, and support personnel to assist our partners in this investigation. In addition to this extra manpower, all our specialty teams were activated, including Evidence Response Team, SWAT, Divert, and Victim Services Response Team, just to name a few. A special thanks to you, the media, as well as to the community. My sincere thanks to Colonel Perez, Colonel Weaver, AG Nerona, Brown University PD, and all of our partners. This was truly a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Another critical partner at every step along the way was the ATF. I'd like to introduce Special Agent in charge of the ATF, Tom Greco.
Good evening. My name is Tom Greco, the Special Agent in charge of ATF.
Hi, baby girl.
From the moment 911 reports of the shooting at Brown University came through, there's been an around-the-clock effort to identify the perpetrator and to protect the community. The men and women of ATF, including our special agents, our intelligence research specialists, and our support personnel, have been proud to support and be part of that effort, leveraging our unique experience, dedicated investigators, canine handlers, and crime gun intelligence technology, such as NIBIN, the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, to compare ballistic evidence, and our other available tools to support the investigation.
This is for you and your kids. Go shop. Try to select 80 to be equal. God bless you.
I've been using Riverside now for over 5 years.
50 each.
Riverside is an all-in-one recording and editing platform that lets you capture studio quality content from.
Thank you. Thank you. Bear does not disappoint. Great work, sir. Thank you.
First and foremost is to protect communities from violent crime.
Sorry about that.
Each individual in this country deserves to live in peace and security in their homes, in their schools, in their places of worship, and in the streets. The actions of Claudio Neves-Valente stole that right and terrorized the community. I'd like to emphasize to the public, was a highly dangerous individual capable of extreme violence. And we're happy to have been part of this investigation and proud to have worked with our partners to identify him and see this through. Thank you very much.
Holy
Thank you very
shit. Do we take any questions?
From the very outset on Saturday, from our first press conference in the fire station to today, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee has been by Providence's side every step of the way. The city of Providence is incredibly grateful for the governor's support, the state police, not just their assistance with the investigation, but in supporting the broader community. It's a pleasure to introduce Governor Dan McKee.
Thanks, Mayor, and clearly your staff, I feel the same way with the team that you have, that we were happily able to assist. And as a former mayor, many of here in the audience know that I've been a mayor, some don't. But I empathize and sympathize with the position that you were in and the fact that you needed people to follow the lead of the Providence police and to partner in with some extraordinary people, whether it's with the FBI, the ATF, and of course our state police as well. From the very beginning, my thoughts as a dad was with the families who suffered from the shooting. The unthinkable happened in our state. The unthinkable happened in Providence. The unthinkable happened at Brown University. And we're going to be forever changed. But our commitment from the state level is to continue to support Providence, Brown, and the people of the state of Rhode Island in the recovery. That's going to take a great deal of time. But I do say this, the professionalism that I saw in the law enforcement should make everyone that lives in our state and beyond our borders feel very safe. These things happen, but it requires some professional help in law enforcement to bring it to the conclusion that we've been able to bring it to. So, Colonel, thank you, everybody involved. And again, we will stand with Providence and Brown University and the people of the state of Rhode Island to provide the help that will be needed in the recovery in a trauma like this.
Thank you, Governor. Throughout the year, the Rhode Island State Police is an incredible partner to Providence, but during this investigation, their support was invaluable. I introduce Colonel of the State Police, Colonel Weaver.
Get this guy on the screen.
My name is Colonel Darnell Weaver, the Superintendent of the Rhode Island State Police. I want to begin by recognizing the excellent and exceptional efforts of the Providence Police Department and Colonel Oscar Perez. From the very first moments of this investigation, the Providence Police Department has worked collaboratively and relentlessly day and night on this investigation while protecting our capital city. Their detectives followed facts, developed evidence, and pursued every credible lead. Colonel Perez's leadership has been steady and decisive, focused on identifying the person responsible for this tragedy. As always, our troopers stepped up, working shoulder to shoulder with the Providence Police and our local, state, and federal partners. I want to give particular recognition to our detectives, whose diligence and dedication contributed to this investigation. Our detectives and division leadership operated as a unified team, sharing intelligence, resources, and expertise. This has truly been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, as virtually every trooper has taken extra shifts to help support the efforts in Providence, and I have never been prouder to be a member of the Rhode Island State Police. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Rhode Island State Police, and this case stands out among one of the most challenging in our state's history. The sheer volume of digital evidence, the complexity of the investigation, and the intense public interest laid an extraordinary demands on everyone involved. Despite that pressure, investigators remain disciplined, methodical, and focused on facts. We are grateful for the assistance of the public, particularly those who shared our information, provided tips, and gave us doorbell camera footage and access to their property. We are also thankful for the ongoing support of Rhode Islanders. We know that you have been with us through this entire investigation. I also want to be very clear about something else. Criminal investigations are grounded in evidence, not speculation or online commentary. The endless barrage of misinformation, disinformation, rumors, leaks, and clickbait were not helpful in this investigation. Distractions and unfounded criticisms do not support this work. They complicate it and threaten to undermine the justice we seek for the victims and the grieving families. Despite these challenges, good police work prevailed, and we have lessons that we can bring forward from these long days ahead. To the Brown University community and the people of Rhode Island, be assured that this case reflects the law enforcement community and what we are capable of, and that we are committed to this state. We will continue to support the victims and the broader community as the healing continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Providence is so proud to be home to Brown University, and we are committed to working together with them in the future as they help heal their community as we do our broader.
All right, guys. Now they're just congratulating themselves and saying how they're so wonderful and how they couldn't have done any better during the investigation and blah, blah, blah. But there you go. The suspect is reported dead. They still don't, if I missed it, I'm sorry, but I don't think they gave a name either. But yeah. Allegedly, they have caught the person who had done the shooting. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.
Because if I'm Eric Kurt Ryan Harpo right now, I am rushing